This week's menu is a family-friendly meal filled with colorful, delicious dishes with fresh Italian flair. If you're having friends over for dinner anytime soon, I really recommend trying this menu out. It's really easy to throw together. You're not gonna spend hours and hours in the kitchen, and I promise you it'll be a big hit with all your guests. Nothing sets the mood at a dinner party like a delicious cocktail, right? So we're kicking things off with one of my go-to favorites, vodka and sparkling Italian soda with a splash of grapefruit and a sprig of mint. For a first course, I'll show you how to make Antipasto Skewers, a yummy meat, cheese, and veggie combo that's fun to eat and can be thrown together in no time at all. Next up is the main course, a mouth-watering Parmesan breaded chicken with tomato basil garlic topping. For the side dishes, I'm whipping up a light lemon feta orzo, a simple dish that definitely packs a flavorful punch, and a colorful array of roasted rosemary veggies that practically cook themselves. For a delicious finish, it's cool, creamy espresso floats, topped with chocolate-covered espresso beans and dark chocolate shavings. It's like coffee and dessert in one. I have 2 kids, and over the last couple years, we've taken a bunch of really fun family trips with some of our best friends. We do a winter trip to the snow and a summer trip to the beach. We get a big rental house and we all pile in there together, and it's loud and hectic and so much fun. And we always joke that what we do more than anything else on those trips is eat. We spend a lot of time eating. Every night we put on some music and make cocktails, and us moms make a big dinner for the group. We usually trade off nights so one person doesn't have to do all the cooking all the time, and this is a meal that I've made many times on my night. I love this meal because you can make one meal for everybody, for the parents and the kids. In some of my earlier dinner parties, I found that I tried to whip up something fancy for the parents, and then I would make separate kid food, and it's just double the work and double the stress. I don't want to be running around worrying about whipping up some mac and cheese and hot dogs when I'm in the middle of my fancier meal. So these are really easy dishes to put together, and each one of them can be tweaked slightly so that the kids love it. And if you don't have any kids, don't worry, don't tweak anything. This is still an amazing meal to make that all your friends will love, I promise. So sit back and relax, because I'm going to show you how to make this delicious 6-course Italian-themed meal that's perfect for your next dinner party. Before we even get into the food at all, you always want to have a great cocktail for your guests to enjoy when they come over for a dinner party. I love this one because it's really light and refreshing. It's got some fizz and bubbles. It's got that sweetness from the fresh fruit juice. Both men and women really enjoy it. It's just a really nice way to kick off this meal. So here's how you make it. The first thing you're gonna do is get a glass, fill it with your ice, and then you're gonna pour some vodka in. You can go really light on the vodka or a little heavier on the vodka, depends how you like your vodka. I usually fill up the first third of the glass. Next, you're gonna pour basically the rest of your glass up with Pellegrino. Pellegrino is a sparkling Italian soda that's really light and fizzy and delicious. It's flavorless and colorless, and it doesn't have a lot of those artificial sugars and sweeteners. So not only are you gonna save yourself some calories, but you're definitely gonna save yourself a headache the next day. Next, you're gonna add in a splash of grapefruit juice. Now, if you don't have fresh grapefruits, you can use store-bought grapefruit juice, but the fresh stuff is always better. And you just want to put a splash in the top. If you add too much in, it's basically like a vodka and grapefruit, which is a Greyhound. And we're not making a Greyhound. This is vodka soda with a splash of grapefruit, not a big cup of juice. And for the grapefruit juice, you can either add a little bit into each drink individually if you're just making a few, or you can juice a bunch of grapefruits and put it in a pitcher so that you can set that out if you want to make a drink bar before your guests come over. Finally, you want to add in some fresh mint leaves for garnish. Nothing brings a drink to life like fresh mint. Plus, it's really nice to put fresh herbs in your cocktails. It just takes your drinks up to another level and impresses your guests. Now for the kids. It's simple, just leave out the vodka, of course. You can give them Pellegrino by itself or the Pellegrino with the grapefruit juice if they like grapefruit. My kids go nuts for Pellegrino. They're always asking me, Mommy, can we have some fuzzy water? Can we have some fuzzy water? Kids love sparkling water. So you can leave it by itself or throw the splash of grapefruit in there. Either way, it's a fun drink and the kids will feel kind of special that they get to enjoy a fancy drink with the parents. And that's it. That's how you make my grapefruit vodka fizz. Set them out so everyone can enjoy a cocktail while they're mingling and munching on appetizers, and definitely grab one for yourself while you prepare the rest of this great meal. The appetizer for this menu is one that I always love to make because it's only one dish to put together, but it really gives people a lot of different variety. There's different colors and textures and flavors. It's a really good one. Antipasto means before the meal, and it's a traditional first course in Italy. Traditionally, antipasto platters have cured meats and olives and pickled veggies and different cheeses. I love it because you can really get creative and use whatever you like. Plus, skewers are just fun. You have your own little individual portion that you can walk around with and eat, and kids love food on a stick. So here's how you make them. You want to get skewers, shish kebab sticks, those bamboo sticks. You can get them at any grocery store. I like to start out with a green olive, then a folded up slice of salami, a nice big chunk of fresh cantaloupe, then a mozzarella ball. You could use the marinated mozzarella balls or the regular. You could also use pepper jack if you want some spice, or provolone, any kind of cheese you love. Then a marinated artichoke heart. You could also use cherry tomato, or you could use hearts of palm for other veggie options. And finally, a nice big folded slice of prosciutto. I love prosciutto. It's a really thinly sliced Italian ham that's very lean and has a really good salty kick. You could put all these in the same order, or you could switch it up and do a different order on each stick. Just have fun with it. It's however you want to make them. There's no right or wrong way. And now for the kids. They may like all the ingredients on there, but chances are they're probably not big on a few of them. So just make a couple that are only for the kids. You could use just the cheese and salami, or cantaloupe and olives, or cantaloupe and cheese. Just whatever you think they're gonna like, that's what you put on theirs. Place your skewers on a big platter, and then this is not necessarily traditional, but I like to serve mine with some sliced baguette and then a couple different sauces. Some oil and balsamic vinegar, some spicy mustard, and maybe some pepper tapenade. That way, people can just eat their skewer exactly like it is, or they can take the pieces off and put some salami on a piece of baguette and dip it in some mustard and then pop an olive in their mouth, and they can just get creative and have fun with it and combine the flavors however they want. The really nice thing about these skewers is that they can be assembled the day before and then just kept in the fridge. That way, right before your party, all you have to do is take them out, pop them on the platter with the bread and the sauces, and you're good to go. One tip I would definitely give is that don't make too many of these. Bread and meat and cheese is kind of a heavy combination. So you want everybody to have one or two, but you don't want to fill them up before they even get to eat the rest of this delicious meal. And that's it, Antipasto Skewers. A really fun appetizer that's so easy to put together, and it's the perfect way to jump into this Italian-themed meal. Now it's time for the main course. You've probably had bruschetta at many Italian restaurants. It's that really popular appetizer that's crunchy little pieces of bread like crostini, topped with that fresh, delicious tomato, basil, garlic topping. I always order that in restaurants. I've loved it forever. So I thought, why not take that delicious topping and put it on chicken? You could absolutely grill this chicken if you want, which is actually probably the healthier option, but I just love to put it on my breaded Parmesan chicken. It's just crunchy and delicious, and it goes so well with that fresh, vibrant topping, and everybody always goes nuts for it. The first thing you're gonna do is make the topping. It couldn't be easier. Take your tomatoes. You could use Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes would be really delicious and even more colorful. Slice up your fresh basil and fresh peeled garlic. Then add in some olive oil, a splash of balsamic vinegar, salt and pepper to taste. Mix that all together, and that's it. You can actually make this the night before and then just store it in the fridge until your dinner party the next night. It's actually even better that way because the longer it sits, the flavors all blend together and the juice from the tomatoes kind of mellows out that raw garlic. Once you have your topping, it's time to work on your chicken. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts can actually be kind of expensive, I know, but don't worry because you're gonna cut these in two. So if you're having 8 people, you only need to buy 4. Or if you're having 4 people, you only need to buy 2. You only need to buy half the amount. So cut your chicken in half down the center. Then you're gonna lay them out on some wax paper or parchment paper, cover them, and start pounding. Use your meat mallet and just start pounding away. You want them to be nice and thin so that they cook quickly, and you also want to make sure that they're all the same thickness so that they all have the same cooking time. Once your chicken is pounded out, you can lay out all of your breading ingredients, which are white flour, eggs, and breadcrumbs. I like to use a mixture of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs and panko breadcrumbs. Panko breadcrumbs are Japanese breadcrumbs. They're just much crispier and crunchier, and they give your chicken amazing texture. This is also when you add in your grated Parmesan. You mix it right into the breadcrumbs, and it gives it extra flavor, this nutty, cheesy deliciousness. That's what makes it Parmesan breaded chicken. So once you have your thinly pounded chicken breasts, you're gonna add a little salt to them, and then they're ready to be dipped in the breading. So place them in the white flour. That's what's gonna make the egg stick. Then dip it in the eggs. That's what's gonna make the breadcrumb stick. And finally, roll it around in the breadcrumbs until it's perfectly coated. Then take your chicken and place it in your skillet with olive oil and just leave it there. Don't mess with it and pick it up and roll it around and turn it over. That's totally gonna screw up your brown crunchy coating. Just leave it there and let it cook for a few minutes. You're gonna see that the chicken's gonna start to turn white, that it's clearly cooked on the other side, and you'll notice that the bottom is all brown and crispy. That's when it's ready to flip. Then turn it over, let it go for a couple minutes on that side as well, and give it a squeeze of fresh lemon over the top. That just brings out this citrus flavor and really makes your chicken come alive. Once your chicken is done, you're gonna take it out and place it on a paper towel to drain the excess oil. At this point, you can set aside some chicken for the kids if you don't think they're gonna wanna eat it with the tomato topping. Hopefully they will, but if not, every kid loves delicious breaded chicken. They'll definitely go nuts for it by itself. Then you're gonna take your chicken breasts, place them on your pretty platter, and top each one with a big scoop of that tomato, basil, garlic topping. Then you're gonna shave some Parmigiano Reggiano right over the top and garnish with just a little more fresh basil. And that's it. How easy was that? That's how you make breaded Parmesan chicken with tomato, basil, garlic topping. It's a hearty main course with fresh, colorful flavors. I promise you, everybody's gonna want seconds. Okay, so to go along with the chicken, I'm gonna show you how to make two delicious side dishes. The first one is my lemon feta orzo. If you're not familiar with what orzo is, it's basically pasta in the shape of rice. So it's great on its own, or you can add all sorts of different things into it to jazz it up a little. This dish is really light and simple. There's not too many ingredients in it, but I promise you it's bursting with tangy citrus flavor, and the lemon goes so well with that tomato, basil, garlic topping on your chicken. It's just a lot of good stuff happening at once. Here's how you make it. First, you wanna take your orzo and toast it. So you're just gonna pour it in a pan with some olive oil and stir it around until it starts to get toasty brown. Now watch it, because it'll just kind of sit there for a minute and you feel like nothing's happening. Then all of a sudden it starts to toast. And once it starts, it happens quickly and it'll burn. So make sure you keep an eye on it. Once it's toasty brown, you're gonna dump it in the boiling water and just let it cook for 8 to 9 minutes until it's perfectly al dente. Pour it into a strainer and drain all the excess water. At this point, you can set some plain orzo aside for the kids. Hopefully they'll like lemon and feta cheese, but if they don't, that way you'll have a separate little stash for the kids. To that, you can add in some butter and Parmesan or a little olive oil and Parmesan, whatever the kids like. And now you can add in the fresh ingredients. You're gonna start by drizzling in your olive oil. Then you wanna add the juice of 2 to 3 lemons, stir that around, and now you're gonna crumble in your feta. Feta is cool and creamy with a salty kick, and when you mix it into the warm orzo, it's gonna start to kind of melt and get all oozy and delicious. Oh, it's so good. Now you're gonna add some salt and pepper to taste. You don't need too much salt because remember, feta is a salty cheese, so just add a little bit. And finally, you're gonna sprinkle some fresh Italian parsley all over the top for some color and garnish. And then I like to add a big chunk of lemon wedge in the top, just to kind of show people that this dish has lemon in it. Kind of gives them a preview of what they're about to eat. And that's it. That's how you make the first side dish. It's light and lemony, and it's a perfect complement to the chicken. I strongly recommend you add this into your side dish rotation in general. It's a great one to have in your back pocket. The next side dish is literally one of the easiest things you could ever make. I think it's really important when you're making a 5 or 6 course meal to have at least one of those courses practically cook itself. And this is it. Once you get your veggies prepped, you literally just toss them in the oven and let them go for an hour, and that way you have free time to do everything else for the meal. What I love about this is that it's like the Antipasto Skewers. You can use whatever veggies you love. Get creative. Go to the farmer's market, see what's fresh, see what's in season, see what has really nice color that will go along with the rest of your meal. Pick whatever veggies you love. So I like to use broccoli, and I just cut that into small little florets. Then I take cauliflower and cut that into small florets as well. I couldn't find purple cauliflower today because it's not in season, but I will give you a tip, and that is when purple cauliflower is in season, use it. It tastes exactly the same as regular cauliflower, but it's such a pretty, vibrant purple color, and there's something that looks really elegant and fancy about it. It definitely elevates some simple veggies to a whole different level. Then I like to use some fresh carrots. Don't buy the little mini carrots in the bag. Those aren't very fancy at all. Get some beautiful carrots with stems on the end, cut the stems off, cut the carrots into nice long slices, and throw those in there. Cut up some purple onion. It adds a really nice color contrast with the green and orange and white. Just cut those in big chunks, not little pieces, like big quarters, and throw them right in with the rest of the veggies. I also like to add in some Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are something that a lot of people might not like, and that's because they had them boiled or steamed growing up as a kid. Brussels sprouts have really good texture, and when they're roasted, they get kind of browned and crunchy, and I promise you they're delicious. Both my husband and my father despised Brussels sprouts, and when I started serving them to them like this, it's like their favorite thing. And finally, I like to take big garlic cloves and toss those right in. You don't even need to cut them up. When they roast, they're gonna kind of open up a little bit and release that garlic flavor. Roasted garlic is to die for. So once your veggies are prepped, you're gonna drizzle olive oil all over the top. Add in your fresh rosemary, just break it right off the stem and toss it in with your veggies. Then you're gonna add salt and pepper to taste. You can be liberal with the salt. The salt really brings out the flavor of the veggies as they roast. This part could actually be done ahead of time. You could prep all your veggies the morning of the party and then stick them in the fridge covered. That way, all you have to do is take them out later and pop them in the oven. Once they're ready to go, you're gonna pop them in a 400-degree oven. They take about 45 minutes to an hour to cook. It depends on the strength of your oven. I usually leave mine in there for about an hour because I really like them to be extra specially brown and roasted and golden. Once they're roasted, pour them in a big bowl or serving tray and garnish with a big rosemary sprig. That way people know there's rosemary in there. Now, when it comes to the kids, maybe they like all the vegetables you've chosen, but maybe not. Most kids tend to like broccoli or carrots or both. So all you have to do is take some out for them. And that's it, warm roasted veggies that practically cook themselves. What's better than that? You should really try this side dish out. It goes great with so many things. So now it's time for the very best part of all, dessert. Most Italian meals are finished off with some kind of creamy, delicious dessert and a very strong espresso. This dessert combines both. It's like coffee and dessert in one. Here's my very favorite thing about this recipe. I do not bake. I cannot stand baking. Love to cook, hate to bake. So this is one of my secret weapon recipes that always impresses people, but there's no baking involved. The first thing you want to do is prepare your whipped cream, which couldn't be easier. Whipped cream is one of those things that I never ever buy at the store anymore because the homemade version is so simple and so quick, I kind of don't have an excuse to buy it. All you have to do is take heavy cream, add in a little bit of sugar and a dash of vanilla, and start whipping. You want to whip until you see peaks form and it's light and fluffy. Definitely don't over whip, then it gets kind of a curdled consistency. The whipped cream is something that can actually be prepared ahead of time the day before. That way it's all ready to go when it's time to assemble your sundaes after dinner. Now for the star of this dessert, the espresso. If you're one of the lucky few that has a fancy espresso maker, great, definitely use that. But if you don't have one of those, no problem. You can buy instant espresso. It's usually used for baking. You probably don't drink it very often, especially if you're a coffee connoisseur. But for this dessert, it works perfectly well, especially because you're gonna add cream to it anyways. You're gonna take a tablespoon of the instant espresso powder and add it to a half a cup of boiling water. Then you're gonna add in a tablespoon of cream as well, and then just stir it around and it's ready to go. You can serve these sundaes in bowls, but I like to serve them in little coffee cups. It's just kind of whimsical and goes along with the coffee and dessert theme. So pour some of your espresso into the bottom of the cup, just a little bit, not too much. Then you're gonna take a big scoop of vanilla ice cream and add that right on top. You don't wanna pour the espresso after you put the ice cream in because it will instantly just melt your ice cream and pretty much make it go away. Take some of that homemade whipped cream that you made and put a big dollop right on top. Then you're gonna take some dark chocolate and shave some of that right on top of the whipped cream. It looks really pretty, and that dark chocolate is such a delicious complement to the espresso and ice cream. Then take a couple chocolate-covered espresso beans and drop those right on the top. They're so yummy, it's just an extra shot of espresso flavor, and it has a nice crunch. Now for the kids. They're obviously not gonna eat espresso sundaes, but this one's a no-brainer. They certainly will eat chocolate sundaes. So all you have to do is take the vanilla ice cream, drizzle a little chocolate sauce on it for the kids. You can still give them the whipped cream and the chocolate shavings, and they'll be happy campers. So that's it. It's dessert, it's after dinner coffee, it's both. You can't beat that. You really should give this dessert a try. Everybody loves it, there's no baking involved, and it really is the perfect way to cap off this Italian-themed dinner party. So if you want to try this menu out for your next dinner party, here's the game plan. The day before the party, assemble your antipasto skewers, cover them with plastic, and keep them in the fridge. You can also make your homemade whipped cream and refrigerate that as well. The morning of the party, prep all your fresh veggies and place those covered in the fridge. Make the tomato, basil, and garlic topping for your chicken, cover and refrigerate. Toast the orzo in a pan and set it aside until later. And finally, cook your breaded chicken breasts and place them covered in the fridge until later as well. That way you can get your kitchen all cleaned up and sanitize everything, and you're not gonna have a big messy kitchen and raw chicken everywhere right before guests arrive. 15 minutes before your guests arrive, set up the drink station so guests can pour themselves one of your fizzy grapefruit cocktails when they get there. Then assemble the antipasto platter and place that out so they have something to munch on while they sip their cocktails. Take the chicken and veggies out of the fridge and place them on the counter to come to room temperature. Then go out and have some fun with your guests before it's time to head back to the kitchen. 1 hour before you want to serve dinner, pop your vegetables in a preheated oven. They take a little while to cook. Then, about a half hour before you eat, put your orzo water on to boil and pop your chicken in the oven on the lowest setting. It's already cooked, you just want to get it all warm and crispy again. When your water's boiling, pour your orzo in and let it go for about 9 minutes. Now dinner's getting close at this point, so you may want to make sure your guests refresh their glasses and start making their way to the table. When your orzo is done, you're going to drain it and then add in all the other ingredients. Then take the chicken out of the oven, put it on a tray, and top each piece with a big scoop of the tomato basil mixture. Pour your veggies into a bowl, and you're ready to enjoy a delicious dinner with your friends. About 10 minutes before dessert, excuse yourself from the table to go in the kitchen and make the instant espresso. When that's done, you're just gonna quickly assemble the sundaes, and that's it, mission accomplished. So I really hope I've inspired you to try this meal out. If you're having friends over for a dinner party anytime soon with their kids, you can see that each one of these courses is really easy to tweak just slightly so that both the kids and the parents will love it. You don't have to make 2 separate meals anymore. And if you don't have kids, no problem, don't tweak a thing. Just spend the night sipping cocktails and enjoying this Italian-themed meal. I promise you it's gonna be a big success.